Rich Eisen shares interesting theory about Browns' draft plans. The Cleveland Browns continue to evaluate their options ahead of the upcoming NFL draft, especially at the quarterback position. With several young signal callers available this year, Cleveland has been doing its homework on a number of prospects. One player who recently drew attention after meeting with the Browns is Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson. The visit immediately sparked speculation about Cleveland's intentions and whether the team could be considering him. During a recent episode of The Rich Eisen Show, analyst Rich Eisen shared an interesting theory about what the Browns might actually be doing by bringing Simpson in early during the pre-draft process. Maybe, just maybe this is the Browns saying, "First guy we had in," and Ty Simpson sends a signal to everybody that if he passes the Steelers at 21, 24 might not be a bad spot to pop up to go get him, 'cause we might take him, Eisen said. Eisen's idea suggests Cleveland's move may be more strategic than it appears on the surface. By showing early interest in Simpson, the Browns could be signaling to other teams that they are serious about the quarterback, potentially influencing how the draft board develops. That type of maneuver isn't uncommon around the NFL. Teams often use pre-draft visits and reported interest to create uncertainty for other front offices, sometimes hoping to influence where prospects are selected. For the Browns, quarterback remains one of the biggest storylines heading into the draft. The organization has multiple young players at the position and plenty of decisions to make about the future of the room. If Cleveland truly views Simpson as a potential option, Eisen's theory could end up proving accurate. Even if the Browns ultimately go in another direction, the attention surrounding Simpson's visit shows that the team is carefully evaluating every possibility before draft night arrives. Rich Eisen shares interesting theory about Browns' draft plans. The NFL offseason thrives on speculation. Every rumor, insider comment, and draft visit can spark debates across sports talk shows and fan forums. This year, the Cleveland Browns once again sit at the center of that discussion. Recently, respected broadcaster Rich Eisen offered an intriguing theory about what the Browns might be planning in the upcoming NFL draft. Eisen's idea isn't simply about which player Cleveland might select. Instead, it suggests a deeper strategy, one that could reshape the direction of the franchise. Reading between the lines. During a discussion on his show, Eisen suggested that the Browns may be thinking more strategically than many analysts expect. Instead of rushing to fix one obvious weakness, Cleveland could use the draft to quietly reshape its roster and prepare for a longer-term transition at quarterback. For a franchise that has experienced decades of quarterback instability, that possibility immediately grabbed attention. The Browns currently have a complicated situation surrounding their quarterback room, largely because of the enormous contract given to Deshaun Watson. While Watson was once viewed as the team's long-term answer, injuries and inconsistent performances have created uncertainty. Eisen believes the Browns' front office may now be thinking several steps ahead rather than simply reacting to short-term needs. The hidden draft strategy. According to Eisen's theory, Cleveland might avoid making a dramatic headline pick early in the draft. Instead, the team could focus on strengthening key positions, particularly the offensive line and defense, while quietly evaluating quarterback prospects later. This strategy would accomplish two things. First, it would improve the overall roster. Even the best quarterbacks struggle without strong protection and reliable playmakers. Strengthening the supporting cast could help the Browns remain competitive regardless of who eventually becomes the long-term starter. Second, it would give Cleveland flexibility. Drafting a developmental quarterback later in the draft allows the team to explore future options without committing a massive investment. In other words, the Browns could be building a contingency plan. Why the theory makes sense. Eisen's speculation isn't random. It reflects a growing trend across the NFL. Teams are increasingly cautious about spending top draft picks on quarterbacks unless they are absolutely convinced about a player's potential. History is full of examples where teams rushed into selecting a quarterback early, only to regret the decision a few years later. Cleveland itself knows that story better than most franchises. Over the past 2 decades, the Browns have drafted multiple quarterbacks in the first round. Few managed to establish long-term success in Cleveland. Because of that history, the front office may be reluctant to repeat the same cycle. A franchise at a crossroads. The Browns are not a rebuilding team in the traditional sense. They have talented players across the roster and have shown flashes of playoff potential in recent seasons. However, the uncertainty surrounding the quarterback position keeps the team from fully stabilizing its identity. That's where Eisen's theory becomes interesting. If Cleveland focuses on strengthening the entire roster first, the team could create an environment where a future quarterback, whether Watson or someone else, has a better chance to succeed. Instead of forcing a quick fix, the Browns would be investing in long-term stability. The chess match of draft season. The NFL draft is often compared to a chess match between front offices. Every team tries to predict what the others will do, and sometimes the smartest strategy is the least obvious one. Eisen believes Cleveland might be deliberately keeping its intentions quiet. By avoiding obvious signals about which position they prefer, the Browns maintain flexibility. They can react to how the draft unfolds rather than locking themselves into one plan. That type of strategy can be extremely valuable if unexpected players fall down the draft board. The role of leadership. Another factor in Cleveland's potential strategy is leadership. Successful NFL franchises rely on patient decision-making rather than emotional reactions to public pressure. Eisen suggested that the Browns' leadership may recognize the importance of staying calm during the chaotic draft process. When analysts and fans demand immediate answers, sometimes the smartest move is to stay patient. If Cleveland follows that philosophy, the draft could become less about chasing headlines and more about building a balanced roster. Fans and expectations. Of course, Browns fans are eager for progress. The team's loyal supporters have endured decades of rebuilding phases, coaching changes, and quarterback experiments. Every draft offers hope that the next star player, or franchise quarterback, might finally arrive. Eisen's theory doesn't promise an immediate superstar selection. Instead, it hints at something more subtle, a carefully constructed plan designed to keep the Browns competitive both now and in the future. For some fans, that might feel less exciting than a blockbuster draft pick. But in the long run, it could prove far more effective.